Once you've finished creating a film, how do you get it into a film festival? How do you make the most of a film festival? And are film festivals even worth it? I'm answering all those questions in this episode of Filmmaking for Noobs. Welcome back to Filmmaking for Noobs. I'm Kyle Lawrence, and yes, film festivals are worth it. At least they're worth it if you take advantage of them and use them to their fullest potential. It can be really difficult getting your film into a film festival or even selected to screen at a festival, and it can be really discouraging to receive rejection notice after rejection notice of more and more people telling you that your film is worthless and should never be seen by anyone. Of course, they word it much nicer than that, but it sounds like they're saying that when they say something to the extent of, "Thank you for your submission, we're sorry that we couldn't select it for this festival. It was great, but we only have so many slots to fill and we had so many great submissions that came in." So how do you get your film into a film festival? And just so you know that I do have a little bit of experience on this subject, over the last couple of years alone, as of the time of filming this episode, I've had 4 of my films that I directed get selected to screen at over 50 different festivals. They've won or been nominated dozens of times, and at the time of filming this episode, I still have 20 other festival submissions still waiting to hear back from with an answer, and I still have a film in post-production. But at the same time, I've also received my fair share of rejection notices, and I've gotten lots of films rejected and denied from many different festivals over the years. I'm going to share with you a few tips that will help you have a better chance of getting your films into some festivals. But first, it's important to also understand that once your film gets selected, how do you actually work that festival? How do you make the most of that opportunity and get something more out of it than just having a film screening in front of people? But first, it is important to understand how to actually work the festival. If your film does get selected to screen at a festival, how does that actually help you and how do you make the most of it? When your film gets selected to screen at a festival, yes, it is really cool to see your film up on the big screen, and yes, it's really cool to be able to invite cast and crew and friends and family to come watch your film in a theater on the big screen. But your film at a festival, that is not party time. That is still work time. Party time is when you put on a private screening for just your cast, crew, family, and friends, and you have a great time doing that. But at a festival, you're in work mode. When your film gets selected to screen at a festival, yes, you should, in any way possible, attend that festival in person. And don't just attend the screening of your film, attend every other event that is happening at that festival. Meet people, talk to people, network with people. You can meet all sorts of connected and experienced individuals at a festival. You can learn from people, you can make new connections, you can even get hired or sell a film because of the people that you meet at festivals. Having your film screening at that festival is your calling card. If you meet some producer there who could potentially hire you, or a distributor who could potentially buy your film, then if you say something like, "Yeah, I'm just here checking out the festival," instantly at that point, they no longer care about anything else you say. But if you say, "Yeah, I'm here because my film is screening at the festival. In fact, the screening is tomorrow, you should come watch it," then they'll care. Then they want to know more. Maybe they're looking for a good director to hire. Maybe they're looking for films to buy or strike a deal with. Or maybe they're just now jealous and impressed because their film didn't get selected. Maybe now they want to support you as a filmmaker because they see that you're getting traction and have credibility. Regardless, you should work the festival. But networking at the festival itself is only half of the game. If your film is screening at a festival in Los Angeles, New York, Toronto, Vancouver, Atlanta, and you don't normally live in that city, then this is your opportunity to go and meet and network with agents, managers, executives, producers who do live and work in that city and who probably aren't even attending that festival. Because now you can contact them and you can create a sense of FOMO, fear of missing out. You can reach out to them and say something like, "Hey, I'm a director. I'm gonna be in town for a couple days because I have a film screening at such and such festival. Could I buy you lunch?" The people that you want to be connected with are gonna be much more interested in meeting you if they know that you just recently directed a film which is also screening at a festival. And they're going to be much more willing to find time in their schedule for you. This is because they see credibility. They see that someone else is validating your work by selecting it for a festival. They see that you might be going somewhere, you might be the next big thing, and they want to meet you. But they have a very limited opportunity to meet you, and so they make adjustments to their schedule and are more willing to meet with you because they fear that they may miss out on the next big thing. And yes, you should schedule multiple lunches lunches each day with as many people as you possibly can. Don't just book one lunch and say, well, I've had lunch for that day, so I guess I can't book any more lunches. Yes, you should book multiple lunches, obviously at different times, but you should book as many opportunities as you can to meet with different people, especially people that you haven't met before. And some people, if you reach out to them and offer to buy them lunch, they might say something like, well, I don't really have enough time right now for lunch, but I could give you 15 minutes in my office. Yes, take that meeting. That's a good meeting. Even so, they may just be more willing to meet with you at all simply because you took the first step of offering that kindness and generosity of buying them lunch. And yes, if you take an agent, manager, producer, executive out to lunch, you pay the bill. It doesn't matter if they just paid cash for a brand new G-Wagon and you're road tripping across the country in some beat up 20-year-old Honda Civic. The point is, you pay because they're giving up their time for you. On top of that, buy a few extra tickets to the screening of your film and try as much as possible to arrange many of these meetings with other people who aren't going to the festival before the screening of your film. That way you can even invite them to the screening of your film, give them a free ticket. They'll think that's a great opportunity if they have the time, if they're free in their schedule, because they'll love to go sit and watch a few different films and have someone else pay the bill for that. But that gives them an opportunity then to connect with you again. This way you also know that they're going to actually see your work and not just relying on them clicking the link that you send them. This is how you work the festival. Yes, it's really nice to have someone else covering the logistics and flipping the bill for having your film screened in a theater that you get to go watch. That is great, but remember, you're at the festival to work, not to have fun. But of course, hopefully the work is also fun. So how do you actually get that opportunity? How do you get your film into a festival? There is no one-size-fits-all answer, and every festival is different, but based on my experience and based on the experience of a few others that I've talked to on this subject, here are a few tips to help you get into festivals. First of all, there are tons and tons and tons of festivals out there. Don't limit yourself just to the top 5 or top 10 festivals that everyone's heard of, because everyone is trying to submit their film to those festivals. And honestly, unless you have a really cutting-edge, unique film that has either never been done before, like ever, or has absolutely breathtaking, amazing cinematography, or has some sort of political message that is perfectly aligned with the political stance of the judges, you're most likely not going to stand a chance in getting into one of those top 10 festivals. Especially if you think about there being thousands and thousands of submissions and they can only pick a few, and what is it that's going to make you and your film stick out amongst thousands of other really talented, really high quality filmmakers and films. Yes, there are other types of films that get selected by some of those top tier festivals, but my point is it's going to be very difficult to get noticed, especially as a first time or a younger or newer or nobody filmmaker. But there are many, many, many other festivals out there that will offer you the exact same opportunities. Even if your film is screening at some dinky little film festival in Los Angeles that no one's ever heard of, you can still call up agents and managers and say, hey, I'm in town because my film is screening at a festival. It still gives you that little bit of credibility because someone other than you has deemed your film worthy of being screened in front of an audience. Feature films do occasionally get sold at many festivals, but if you're there with a short films don't really sell. There isn't really much of a platform for them. So if you have a short film, you're not there to sell a short, you're there to network. You're there to show off your work to people, show people what you can do so that they'll want to support you for the next project. So what's really important is doing your research to pick which festivals you're going to submit your film to. Directors guilds and other industry organizations have a list of festivals that they recognize as legitimate festivals. This doesn't mean that any festival not on the list is not legitimate, but what it does mean is that this list of festivals, at least someone in the industry, someone who has some sort of standing or say in the industry has heard of these festivals, meaning these are the festivals that you first want to prioritize to get your film into. There are lots of festivals on that list and it's a good place to start. Spend a few days scraping through those lists, looking at other festivals online, and looking through sites like Film Freeway. Your goal is to find festivals that perfectly fit your film, your story, your style, your quality or level of filmmaking. Take a look at what films were selected in previous years at those festivals. What films were nominated for awards at those festivals. You'll notice that there's a certain type of story or a certain type of look or a certain type of genre that the judges tend to favor more than others. at each festival. If that pattern fits your story or your film, then you have a much better chance of getting selected to screen at that festival versus another festival where their pattern is very different from your film. So if you don't have tens of thousands of dollars that you can spend on submitting your film to every festival out there, then that is how you narrow down your search. Find festivals where your film best represents their audience, their goals, their interests, their styles. Those are the festivals you have a better chance at getting selected for or doing well at. Second, you can actually contact the judges of festivals directly. There is no rule saying that you can't. Most legitimate festivals will post the names of their judges somewhere on their website or social media or some sort of marketing materials that they have. Look those judges up. See if you can find their contact information on IMDb Pro or on some sort of a company that they work for or that they own. See if you can contact them and reach out to them. Reach out to them a day or two after you submit your film to the festival. You could say something to the extent of, "Hi, I'm a filmmaker and I noticed that you're a judge at such and such festival. I just submitted my film to that festival. It's a story about a girl that loses her dog," or whatever your story is really about. Even if I don't get selected, I would love to hear your feedback and I'm wondering if you would share that with me. It can be super short like that or something else to that extent. The key is now you're making yourself more memorable to the judge. You're no longer just a random filmmaker with a number assigned to them on their judging portal, but you're an actual human being. I have been a judge at a few festivals before and I understand what it's like. They watch through so many different submissions. They often don't really know much or anything about the filmmaker or the team behind it, and it can definitely be a really grueling and tiresome process to watch through all of those films and critique them and give them a ranking and a rating and everything else that goes into the judging process. It can be really easy to write off a film if it's not quite living up to what you saw previously in a few other films. But if they were contacted by you and if you're more memorable to them now, you have a much better chance of actually getting your film selected at that festival. The judge has a bit more of an interest in seeing you succeed. They have a little bit more of a personal connection to you now, and they think, "Hey, I really want to check this out. I like this filmmaker for whatever reason, and I want to see their work, and I want to see if this filmmaker can be a good fit for our festival." So do your research, pick only the festivals that your film best fits, reach out to the judges, and when you do get selected, make sure you attend the festival, work it really hard, and network the city. Along those lines, when your film does get selected for a festival, they're going to ask for a list of deliverables. It's usually best just to put together a nice festival package of all the deliverables that any festival is going to ask for, because almost all of them are asking for almost the exact same list of things, and that way you'll have it ready for them, especially if you're going to multiple festivals. It's really easy to just send it off to them. I'm not going to talk about that in a video because it would be really boring, but if you're interested in that, I have put together a PDF document outlining a list of deliverables that you should prepare ahead of time. You can view that PDF for free using a link in the description below. I hope that this has given you some insight into film festivals, and I hope that this information will help you to find bigger and better opportunities when your films do screen at festivals. This episode does bring us to the conclusion of this season of Filmmaking for Noobs Season 3. If you have been following along with the Make Your Next Film Challenge, or whatever you want to call it, then hopefully that means that you're also only a couple months away from shooting your next project, or your first film. So set aside a couple days, grab a notebook and your favorite snacks, and go back and binge all 54 episodes of Filmmaking for Noobs. Soak up as much information as you can, and then dive into prep on your next film. I have lots of great stuff planned to continue posting on this YouTube channel, so please be sure to subscribe and come back often for more vids or filmmaking tips, tricks, advice, and updates on other cool projects that I'm part of. Please continue to ask questions in the comments below on this and any other episode of Filmmaking for Noobs. I will be looking at those comments, reading and replying to comments, and I will also periodically be posting some question and answer videos on this channel. Thank you very much for watching, for subscribing, for sharing, and for sticking it out with me these last 9 months of Filmmaking for Noobs. I hope that all this information that we've covered has helped you to give birth to your next film.